and Benji.
On top of that, he was nicknamed very quickly, and this may come as a shock to him, Gunkard Stern. That was his name. And we called him Gunky.
Radio Gunk.
He's on the Rhythm Nation tour.
Radio Gunk.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to our emergency podcast. And the reason we're doing this tonight is because of some ridiculous article that came out in Bloomberg News, and we wanted to kind of discuss it. And the reason I have my friend Matt, who is DEC, as you see up there with this ridiculous avatar, is because actually you and Steve from Providence were the first ones to PM me and say, what the fuck is this shit about? And then, of course, I had to have...
He was crawling into your DMs, too. What a creep.
He totally has crawled into my DMs. And I didn't know about it because my site has been like super slow today. So I hadn't even checked in. And also I've taken up just a little bit. I've taken up golf. So I went to hit some balls this afternoon and had no idea that this was going on. So once I got back into my house and read the article, I was like, oh, this is such fucking bullshit. And it generated like 4 or 5 pages on the website. So emergency podcast it is. So here we are. So welcome, Matt. And thank you so much for always putting me on your show, which was the Minifan Show. And then the black gentleman you see down at the bottom is actually John. Yeah, I got nothing.
I mean, he's black gentleman.
He only did crack once.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, welcome to 2020, the world of absolute insanity. And it just stands to reason that something like this would come out, which I'm just going to go on record and say I think it's total bullshit.
Yeah.
Total Buchwald spin.
Yep.
And maybe not necessarily true. Any thoughts, you guys, before we start on this?
It's classic, but I mean, I think Howard's got something going on with the Bloomberg site. I do remember him mentioning it, and I think that's a classic Buchwald plant. And it's written in a way where you remember what you said about the high volume. So they're thinking about 120 million. So the other platforms think he's getting, but who in their right mind with this show, with its reduced listeners and horrible content, would ever give him more in 2020? Who believes this?
Yeah,
I went through this article, and this is written like it was out of a template. I went through it, and then I cross-referenced some of the financials in here. And some of these financials are really, really old. They're quoting Jim Meyer, who's not even the CEO anymore. And they're quoting his quotes from many, many years ago. They plugged stuff in, and there are a lot of assumptions in here. Right. Well, Sirius is making a lot of money off of Sirius and not Pandora. Well, no shit.
Right. Of course. The whole thing, actually, we're going to parse through it because it's such bullshit. Hi, everybody that's here. Thank you so much for coming and joining us for this impromptu live show. I just want to throw out there really, really quickly, rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen. I did not have him on my death bingo card. So, and I know he was sick, but it comes as like a really kind of bizarre surprise. Not gonna
rest in peace, Len Bias, while you're at it.
I don't know who Len Bias is.
He's the guy in my avatar.
I don't know. Who is he?
Oh, he was a Celtic star. He was drafted in '86 behind Brad Daugherty, and he was supposed to be just an icon. And he had this horrible, tragic drug death, and he never played a single game in the NBA.
No, he got drafted, and he smoked crack for the first time, and he dropped dead.
Yep.
Like the day after he was drafted.
It was my Minifan homage because you were having him on. I wanted some kind of Celtic avatar. So I went with Len.
Sweet. Look at you. You're so thoughtful.
I enjoyed your chat on there the 3 times or so you've been on. Very underrated discussions. Doesn't get enough traction.
It kind of does.
Agree.
I will tell you, people actually really like me on there, and it's because Matt is actually a really, really good interviewer. He does his research and he makes sure that he has a topic or point of conversation as opposed to our inane blathering that we do on most of our podcasts. But it's always really interesting to me, and I of course wanted to return the favor, but because Matt is in between podcast gigs, so to speak, I didn't really want to. I wanted to talk to you more about that whole situation. But it's one of those things where, you know what, we'll save it for another day when we're not talking.
I've been cutting up old Gilbert Gottfried stuff. I've got a whole bunch of Gilbert's most outrageous stuff that I've been working on based on a clip I saw where everybody got mad that he called George Takei a Jap bastard. And Jesus, he has said worse.
Well, Matt, as Renee Zellweger said in 1996, you had me at Smelly James.
Well, Matt is working on a podcast for us to do about Gilbert and the many things that Gilbert has said over the years. I mean, I know the reason he's no longer on, allegedly, the Stern Show is because he licked the cupcake, the famous licking cupcake segment. But the reality is, without a comedian on that show, it is fucking death. It is literally like, sludge at the beach, after a really, really bad hurricane. It's just horrible. It's the Exxon Valdez of fucking shows. And there's actually quite possibly nothing worse. And it's taking all the strength I have to actually listen to a show right now.
God bless you for doing that. And there's no way I could do it. It's just not possible.
No, it's not. It's not. And so sadly, we're going to talk to you about what's going on.
We should say first, Monique, because we were chatting before, Matt hasn't listened, and he's better than all of us because this is like the perfect time to hit the bat chute. He hasn't listened since 2009. So he listened to our Joe Buck show, and he said to me, "That's the last time I listened." That's like the perfect exit strategy. And so you haven't listened to a full show at all. You've just like maybe moments
from time to time when I've had a serious trial, or I've had it from time to time. But it's usually I'll listen and say, "Oh my God, what happened?" And I tune out and I go to Barstool Radio or somewhere else.
You know what? Speaking of Barstool, Monique, you want to stay on this with Barstool? So you are affiliated with those guys, kind of, right? Is it Kirk Minihan? And do you know Dave Portnoy at all? You know him?
I know who he is. I don't know him personally.
Oh, you've never? Okay.
He thinks I'm an asshole, so he wouldn't come.
Hold on, you guys talk for a second because my birthday boy is knocking at the door because he wants to be with his mommy. So hang on 1 second, okay? Go ahead, talk. Sorry.
So what would you, knowing what you know, what would you wager Barstool's worth is to Sirius versus Howard's? If you just had to compare, it's not even close, right? I mean, you could even just
the CEO just got put on the board of directors for WWE strategically that they want to have some type of young audience, and they're going right for Barstool. That's at least 120 million. Look at what Barstool has done for Penn stock. If you had invested in Penn stock before, even through the pandemic, before they made that purchase, you'd be incredibly wealthy. Look at some of the people at Barstool with Portnoy. Big Cat has the biggest sports podcast on the planet.
But then we have Portnoy on Twitter saying that I'm not Howard Stern. Yes, you are. That's the problem. He's saying things like he's still thinking Howard's bigger than he is in this landscape. He's not. It's not even close. You go look at Howard's videos on, and I'm not even, I don't even know that much about Barstool, but he should be just like rabidly why he even signed with Sirius to begin with.
He got to meet Trump. I mean, are you kidding me?
I know.
Something Howard has been begging, thirsty, just pouring his heart out to have.
Take a step back from that. It's not that he met Trump. It's that Trump called Portnoy and said, "Come down. I want you to interview me tomorrow." It wasn't, "Oh, Barstool is working on this thing." The White House called Barstool and said, "Bring him down. He can interview me."
Wow.
Look at that.
He's a Fox News guy, right? Isn't he on? Doesn't he do like?
Yeah, he does a lot of Fox News.
So it was a fairly, I'm not saying easy, but he's a fan. He's not gonna. I'm not gonna say he's gonna throw softballs at him, but Trump was Howard's guy, as everybody knows, for years and years. He could have cultivated that relationship. Trump hasn't brought up Howard once, like hasn't even blurred them. It's Donald Trump Jr. that's gone after him. So it's very strange the way those two have drifted into, Howard went to the.
You know why though? You know why, John? Because I think, and this is my thought on it, I think that prior to the elections, I'm fairly positive that Donald Trump or one of his delegates probably went to the Stern Show and said, "Hey, can you kind of see if you can find all the discussions, that you guys have had over the last 20 years and see if you can pull them back from all the YouTube people, all that. And they did. They did an effective job of making them go away. But then what happened was, now that Howard had them, he judiciously released them whenever he felt it suited him.
Yeah.
And I personally believe that Trump was just like, fuck him. He's in control of it. He's the one who released the information. He's the one who gets the, my ire for it. That's what I think.
Well, what Portnoy writes is, I'd say we're 99.9% out of Sirius. We aren't in the same stratosphere in terms of negotiations. We will just move on to new platforms as always. Our crowd will follow as always. I don't think Howard can say that. So he's basically saying that Sirius isn't going to pay him what he thinks he's worth. And he's really reacting to that Howard article. So Portnoy is actually buying into that Bloomberg article, because that's the reaction to that.
From what I understand about the Sirius deal with Barstool, they pay him pretty much nothing for that. And they did it
really
for a way to get, Erica had said it's a way to get some structure into what we do, because we had no structure. And when you're on radio, you have to follow a clock. And at the time, it was just around the time that Barstool got purchased back in 2016. So it was important for them. But if Barstool left tomorrow, they could go on YouTube, they could go on Twitch.
Yep.
They could create whatever platform they would be on, flip a switch, and wouldn't miss a beat. And probably do better. You listen
to Barstool. What's their schedule like in a typical day, like today?
It floats. They're like on from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. They have 1 hour or 2 hour shows. And they have a bunch of shows in there. Sometimes the chicks in the office talking about The Bachelor. Then Portnoy comes on and talks about gambling, and then Big Cat talks about gambling. It's different points of view from the different things that Barstool is, but it is more entertaining and it is more in touch than anything Howard would do. And from what Monique has said, they're drawing a hell of a lot more of an audience than Howard is at a fraction of the cost.
But Sirius has him insulated, Matt, because they won't release any statistics regarding listenership at Sirius. You could easily just go on YouTube and see. I was poking around on the Stern Show's YouTube. You know what their highest collective, just a typical their highest collective views on YouTube, when they repost shit from the past, guess what? It's wrestlers. It's pro wrestlers and musicians doing a song. And Horsetooth Beth pointed this out in the thread. The only reason the musicians get it is because they're on people's playlist. So if there's like a Green Day fan, they'll just throw that on. It's not Howard doing it. Everything else is like putrid, like five-figure. A kid playing NBA 2K21 is going to beat that in 3 days. Putrid views. This is what
Barstool has done. You have Big Cat that during the pandemic, when they could do nothing, just went online and got an old Xbox 360 and started playing college football, like a very old game. And it was getting hundreds of thousands of people viewing him on Twitch, just playing a goddamn video game.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how Twitch unfortunately works. I mean, we're here because, YouTube kind of cut me off right at the head. But you know what? I'm enjoying having the Twitch thing. The only thing I realize about it, though, is that nothing is perpetuates here. Like, you have to your shows expire after a certain amount of days. So I have to go through, download them, re-upload them, then put them onto our website. And, you can't really monetize them once they're back onto the site. Like, we did this Artie Roast show, and I tried to put it up, John, on the Radio Gunk Miscellaneous site.
Yeah. Yep.
Immediately it got a copyright ding. Immediately. Wow. And we didn't even have, we did the Artie Roast, but immediately it was like a Howard TV thing by Sirius XM. You can't even play this. It is blocked, worldwide. End of story.
But I tried to download it, by the way. You're right. It's 5 gigabytes.
Yeah, it's huge.
I don't understand why it's that much. I'm like, it's eating up 5 external hard drives. Like, all right, I'm out. I gotta figure out a way to streamline this.
This is the best thing. Does It Inspire said Barstool doesn't talk about cock. And that's actually true. And I gotta be honest with you, I never really knew about Barstool Sports. I knew Dave Portnoy because I knew his pizza review show on YouTube, which is bizarre. That's how you would know
Monique,
somebody.
Howard does that with rice cakes.
Half of them.
Metamucil.
Yeah, Metamucil.
Yeah. So, I didn't know who he was. And then I remember, and Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Do you remember like maybe 6 or 7 months ago, they said that they were drawing in like 100 million people or 50 million or 75 million, something like that. And they knew their numbers. And I was like, holy shit, how is it that Barstool knows their numbers? Yet a Howard Stern is able to go completely unaware of what his figures are in terms of who's listening to his show.
Not possible. I think it's a case that Sirius won't put them out, but if you ask for them, you can get them. And Dave's just going to go out there and say, oh, here it is. Here's what I'm doing.
He's from an analytical generation. He's a gambler. He's about stats. Howard's about ambiguity. Howard's like his Sirius stats are the equivalent of Trump's taxes. You'll never get to know him.
No.
He's never gonna. It could only do him harm. He knows how, and this goes back to my theory. I don't know if you buy into this, Matt. I believe Howard's a silent partner. If this is true, if this article is true, and they're offering him this, there's no other qualifying it than he's a silent partner. And it's not about content. It's just about overall partnership. But they're not going to say this. I think when he signed that deal, he said,
in the wrong business.
I don't want.
Hang on, John. What, Matt?
If he's a silent partner, he's investing in the wrong business. They have gone in the tank this year on their stock price.
Well, apparently it went up.
He takes no risk, Matt. He just gets all the he has no accountability. He just gets the marbles. He doesn't invest. He just gets.
Oceanside is so correct about this. All right, the one I have up on the screen right now is Portnoy posted a nude photo of Tom Brady's son 9 years ago, and Howard called him out on it on the air, and that's why I guess maybe Howard doesn't like him. But also, he's exactly right. Sirius is a publicly traded company. You can't be a silent partner on a publicly traded company without you and your earnings and everything being known to the public. So that's true, John. There's no way he can be a silent partner.
I don't know. I think there's something
that is
going
true.
on.
That's true, though.
I think there's something going on where he has something underneath that where he just has no accountability. What he signed something where he doesn't have to produce numbers. And they have that right to refusal thing. And it's all positives. And the last thing he wants is any account of, and he doesn't have to program it. So I don't know. Like I said, retire from what?
Well, we don't know that he's retiring. So let's take a look at the article and let's kind of go through it like the Zapruder film, as we do with all the shit that we do. Okay. And of course I had to do this on an incognito because Bloomberg, I had reached my quota for how many times I'm able to view something. So Howard Stern nears. Okay. So there's so much speculation and bullshit in this. It's not even funny. Howard Stern nears deal with Sirius XM for around $120 million a year.
Right.
Okay. That's $30 million more than what he makes now. And his content is 3 hours, 3 days a week, 112 shows a year.
It can't be possible that he's going back to 4 or 5 days or longer shows.
Can't be.
He'll never get more. It's only going to get less. And you're never going to get new content. So it's got to be bullshit. There's nothing he does on this show that could qualify. Even just a reason. This makes no sense on any level. When you throw, and I think with Spotify, if the negotiations failed with Spotify, it's because they did require statistics. And how could you? And then Howard's completely threatened by Rogan being the grand poobah at Spotify, so he's not going to take second place, and he'd bail on it just off that.
Not gonna lie, I think Rogan's regretting that decision, between all the shit that's going on with Spotify where people want to have like creative control of his content and just such a little shit show going on there.
Spotify does a lot of shady stuff, especially with podcasters. There's a lot not to like there.
Yeah, so that might have been a huge mistake for Rogan. And I hate the new little like space capsule that he's sitting in. I just don't see it as being a great move for him.
No, the Austin thing was stupid too. I mean, you have to have guests coming to. He doesn't do a lot of like Zoom and Skype stuff, so he needs you to come down to Austin. And I just don't see any guests that you care about coming to. Nothing wrong with Austin. It's kind of like a hip music town, but who are you getting in comparison to what you could get in LA? It's not even close. Who's running down there? I just don't get it. I don't get the.
He did it for taxes. He did.
Yep.
Listen, you're making $90 million a year. You will do anything for taxes. This is why Howard has a house down in Florida. I'm shocked that he's not homesteading down there. And the fact that you released some information that somebody had given you about the fact that he's going down there pretty much every couple of weeks, as long as he spends more than, 75% of your time, Oceanside,
Yeah.
you know the story with this, then he's allowed to take it as where he pays his taxes. So
that lends more credence to that DM I got from the person that worked at Plug Beach Airport.
yes.
He'd have to make appearances in the exact ratio that he claimed.
All right, so let's read a little bit of the article. And this is written by somebody named Lucas Shaw, which, just by the name Lucas, he's a fucking millennial, which means he knows nothing about the Stern Show, so fuck him. Howard Stern, the radio shock jock who's maintained his star power in the podcasting era, is nearing a contract renewal with Sirius XM Holdings, Inc. That would boost
so there's
his
already
pay.
a lie in there before we even nearing to a contract renewal.
You mean star power in the podcasting era? Yeah, exactly. That would boost his pay to about $120 million a year, according to people familiar with the matter. Like, who are these people that are familiar with this matter?
Who are these people?
Whoever it is, we can't say, but we'll say he wears a fedora.
Exactly. And he's like 90 fucking years old and still making millions. Stern's contract with Sirius expires at the end of December, and the 66-year-old has been negotiating a fresh deal for the better part of the year, said the people, who asked not to be identified because the conversations are ongoing, which means nothing is fucking set in stone at this point. His previous 5-year contracts, which cover production and staff, topped out at roughly $80 million to $100 million. And I just want to get you into this right here. Okay. I have said this, 1,000 times, that $90 million nut covered production and staff. And that is something I am firmly in belief of, that he did not make $90 million solely for 112 Productions, Inc. This covers the entirety of the fucking nut that everybody who works on the show. I believe that completely.
Did Sabian sign off on that?
I'm just telling you what Bloomberg is saying, and I believe that. And I don't think Sabian's ever signed off on that. He said everybody is a Sirius employee, but I'm pretty sure, when I ran my own division at my company, we had a budget and I could hire people and fire people as long as they were within budget. So if I had to look for somebody making $50,000 a year because that fit my budget, that's what I did. So I'm sure he, within his budget, is where he was, and I think 90 million was the total package. I just believe that sincerely. I don't think that it was.
Let's say with the other staffers and quote production and whatever the fuck that means in terms of that show, you're probably looking at what, $10 million outside of what he would have got. Is he parting with?
Well, don't forget
the rest of the staff and
Robin, Fred, Gary, Benji is probably the biggest nut of that, plus any production costs, plus redoing the studios or whatever they need for equipment, plus all the freelancers, plus healthcare, medical.
It can't be more than 10 million.
It can't
How
be.
much do we think Robin is making?
Well, that's always been. I've heard as much as 10. I've heard as much as
that.
Oh, God, what a waste of money.
Waste of money. I don't believe that at all. I think she's somewhere between like 3 and 5. I think Fred is somewhere between 1 and 2. Although I was told he makes 800,000 and Gary makes 600. So who knows?
Yeah, those two are the most.
We're even there. We're under 5 million.
Yep.
No, I agree. You're right. All right, let me continue reading so we can go through this. Sirius shares climbed as much as 7% to, has this ever been over $10? Seriously, $5.95 in late trading after Bloomberg reported that the agreement was close. They had been down 22% this year through Tuesday's close. Okay, so here, I just want to highlight this out for a quick second. Clearly, when you make statements like he's about to sign for $120 million, the price of the shares are going to go up. I smell manipulation of some sort in this. Don't you?
It seems like it's going down
after hours trading. It's not during the day. During the day, they, as every stock did today, went into the toilet. This is after hours, which is very low volume and very volatile.
Yeah, and if you look on the left-hand side here, because this is pretty much up to date right now, so this is after hours, right? We're down to 556. So as of the writing, it was at 595, right? And right now it's at 556. That makes sense?
I'm no Sal Governale, but I go along with that. Sure. This is
Okay.
boiler room shit. It seems to bear that this is a lot of the insider trading speak of the thing with Chauncey and Neil Cavuto back when we would see all these planted articles and we would see. I don't know. I think yes, everyone in the chat saying it's. I certainly think it's a Buckwald plant, and they use Bloomberg has to use his stock nomenclature but I don't know why they would know, and I just don't. I for the life of me cannot understand what this company has to gain by putting up. They hemorrhage marbles towards him, but even like I see here with Portnoy writes. See, this is why I can't work for peanuts. I'm not Stern, but I'm not nobody either. See, that's part of the problem. Is Dave is essentially championing Howard with saying that. I need
to swing back to that for a second because I wasn't listening because I was letting Reacher in. But what are you talking about with Dave? Like, did he post something on Twitter in response to this?
He read this article and it got a reaction out of him about what his future is with as Matt said. And I didn't realize that they didn't get paid much. It's more of a promotional. I didn't realize that. And he's looking at this going, he reads the Howard thing and he sees that number and he's going, I know we do better than he does. And we're getting nothing. And, and now he's getting bitter and deservedly so. He should be bitter.
The difference is,
Hank is Big Cat's producer on Pardon My Take. So he retweeted and says, since we have the infrastructure bill already, we should be able to just keep the same lineup, broadcast to YouTube or Twitch, watch the subs and views flow in, full podcast versions of every show, $signs.
That's spot on.
Much better, much better articulation than Dave. And Dave is speaking it as he speaks. That's how Dave speaks.
Howard needs a company he cannot do things on his own. He cannot set up his own thing. He is terrified to have to bring it. Who the fuck is going to follow him to anything? And he knows that. He has to stay here so he can pretend that he has more lists. He needs a company. He needs somebody over him. He's just not ambitious enough to start his own thing. Let's
discuss a few things. So I don't know how to say your name here. So Ao Tensai says Bloomberg has a policy that their reporters get paid bonuses on whether their stories move the markets. I just thought I'd throw that up there as an FYI. But let's talk about the Barstool Sports thing. So in Howard's mind, I think it's a win-win situation for Portnoy to be upset about this, because then if they blow out, that's more people coming back to listen to Stern. I mean, and also Barstool Sports is a body of work, right? Howard is just fucking Howard, replaying old Howard, going back to Howard. Everything is Howard. Barstool is a body of work, right? So it's a different animal to say that, these like 10 or 12 shows are generating what a one show of a Howard Stern does. So I'm just curious about what the technique or the manipulation behind, this article is complete manipulation, the entirety of it, and so I'm just wondering if it makes sense to have gotten Dave to a point where he would actually comment on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you think they want him to comment on it? I think he should be pissed off, and I don't like him saying I'm not Stern, because that's proving he's out of touch with how. And I know Matt, you would know better than I. Dave's kind of a Howard apologist, isn't he? Have you ever heard him bash him in any way?
No, I've never heard him bash Howard, but I just look at Portnoy as he's just tweeting out how he talks. If you listen to his talk track, it's sort of like, I'm no Howard, but I'm no Peanuts either. It's just sort of his talk track. It's less saying Howard is a big deal and more of saying, you know what, I'm getting screwed here. And he gets really agitated by the littlest things sometimes. He saw that article and he saw that damn, Howard doesn't do anything. He's getting 120 million. I'm Davey Dave Trader. I move the needle here and I'm getting nothing.
Davey Dave.
What am I doing?
Yeah. Well, I've said this on this show since not the day we started, but very early on. Howard's dream was to really have the Oprah and Eminem and Martha Stewart and Jamie Foxx deal where, money for nothing. I get all the money and I'll never have to do any live radio. I'll have no content. As soon as Oprah signed that, I guess it was with XM and then they merged. He has been jealous of that from day one. And that's what he really wants.
But the problem with that is Oprah makes her bones doing other things. She works on her own show and she's leveraging the brand. All he has is radio.
But he'll never admit that. He thinks that he should have the same schedule as Bill Maher and HBO. He thinks he should have Oprah's. As you said, his only thing is radio. You don't do anything else. But in his mind, he's deluded into thinking he deserves all the spoils of all the people in show business.
Well, what about Howard in high school years? What about Rock and Roll High School?
What about Fartman?
Doomsday. Yep.
Well, you know what it is, Howard. Howard likes to call himself the king of all media, but he's the king of no media. He has only done what he can do in terms of how it reflects on his radio show. And you're 1,000% right, Matt. Oprah has magazines, talk shows, a television station, just multifaceted. Eminem is a world-known rapper. I mean, just world known, by the way. You go outside of here, luckily, even in Canada. And, I was in Argentina, as you know, like for 17 days, right back in February. Nobody knew who Howard Stern was. Who?
No.
Who?
No.
I do a podcast on what? Nobody knows who he is. So he's not international. Oprah is international. Eminem is international.
Do you need any more evidence than his fucking views on his channel on YouTube? That's what the world goes by right now with statistics. Who are they kidding? How stupid do you have to be if you're serious negotiating? You just come back and you go, your Chris Rock video had 47,000 videos. A kid playing Grand Theft Auto for 3 weeks beats that. Why are we paying you 100? If this shit's real, because I can't believe you have so many analytics that prove that he isn't close to anything that they sign him for. Monique, we crunched the numbers on. We actually added up the subscribers and we did the what the subscriber pays and how it made no sense even then. This is 5 years ago. We did this. Remember, we crunched the numbers on the subscribers and we said
yes, but we also decided though that Sirius kind of works very similarly to like Costco.
Yeah,
Costco. No, because your subscriber dues is paid for, like Netflix. Their money is made completely on the subscriber. Everything else is just fucking gravy. They have so much money to play with. That it means nothing because they have the members, and that's
I have no idea how they make money. Because if you're an idiot if you're paying $18 a month.
Oh, you're an idiot.
It's
Matt,
almost nothing for everything.
Matt, if you remember, they used to be hawking. Howard's like fucking Radio Raheem with a boombox on his fucking shoulder the last days. So he was selling equipment. It got to be where you couldn't have a Sirius subscription unless you had equipment, a stiletto or a StarMate or what's the other dumb thing they had of that. And so initially it was about selling equipment and car radios and stuff. But now he's taking credit for, Priuses coming with, so anybody that has Sirius, he's taking credit for it, and that's how he sells himself to management. Even if these negotiations are real, he's taking credit for people who subscribe to the NFL network.
Hang on, John. Go ahead, Matt.
I thought it was Jim Meyer who had that Midwestern sentimentality that allowed him to walk into Toyota and sell those radios.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Azor75 says, I wouldn't be surprised if the staff at SiriusXM walks out if this is true. They put in more hours, get more listeners, and get better guests, yet he gets all the marbles. Yeah, that's just true. I don't know if this thinking is very 2005-ish, that he is still the driver, he is still the more important thing, but maybe maybe in some convoluted way, he is still the driver for Sirius. What if, and I was just talking to somebody about this today as it related to me and being in the garment center and, clothing and things like that. There were so many companies where you used to walk in the door. I had a girlfriend who brought me in as a consultant about 2 years ago to see whether or not she should join this particular company. So she had me come up and meet the owner. And I'm looking around the showroom, which looks kind of drab and kind of shitty. And there's two salespeople in there. One of them had to be like 80. The other one was probably like 65, 70. And I'm like, what are they still doing here? And she's like, oh, they do a huge business with so-and-so. And the owner is really scared that if he lets them go, that he will lose that business. And this is the same fucking model that Sirius is going under. If they lose Howard, they are probably frightened shitless that they're going to lose half their subscribers, even if they really don't know that is factual. Why do you think they're buying up, all these different like podcast entities? And, everybody keeps telling me they're buying iHeartMedia, and I'm still not sure whether that's true or not. Howard was a little bit disparaging about them today. So it's kind of interesting that he brought them up. But, their thinking is, what if we do lose all these people because Howard's no longer here? And I think they're really fucking scared of that.
Well, it's just non-creative thinking. It's just a bunch of dunderheads who are afraid of getting innovative and hiring new people. And nobody is allowed to be successful in radio but him. You can't think to bring in and model a new infrastructure in there and bring in. I don't care if it's the people from the Breakfast Club or what. There's a zillion people. It's unbelievable. They have to be beholden to him still, and they can't figure out a way to just strip it of his rigor mortis hand and do something else. It is just an uncreative. And it's so toxic to the paying subscriber. The guy does 9 hours of radio a week and has two on a rare live week. I did the math on this. He has 2 channels with 5% live programming that run 24/7. 5% live programming on 2 channels.
It's like they're using a horse and buggy in the car age. If they need to keep Howard to keep their audience, they're in trouble because they're going down anyways. You're in a place where Apple Music, you can pick out your music that you want. You can find anything on a podcast. And this is still a company that's dealing with satellites to get the signal across.
Yeah.
You could bring the satellites all down and just go right over the internet. There's too much overhead here. It's a business that's going to fail eventually. So you might as well cut your losses now and transition to something else or just tread water.
Well, that's why they're buying up so much other stuff. They're so scared that what they're doing as a formula for the initial platform, which is satellite radio, is a dying breed. I mean, we've said it for years, as new cars come out, you have Wi-Fi that you pay $5 a month for. Like, my car has Wi-Fi now. So I pay $5 and I'm streaming whatever the hell I want, whenever I want. Podcasts, radio.
So easy to listen to podcasts or Apple Music.
Yeah. Anything. Google Music is what I tend to use. But yeah, so we don't need them anymore. They are the Betamax, and as Dennis loves to tell us, the satellites are dying. They're all very, very old. So unless they're, paying Elon Musk to throw something else up into the fucking sky,
they ever heard.
They have a dying model. Yeah, right. Howard invented the podcast, though. He will return to his roots. He can't. He really can't. I don't think that there's going to be a platform for Howard. And you're right. Whoever it was that just said he needs to be on Sirius because
that was me.
Place else.
He cannot provide a base. He cannot launch anything on his own. He needs a company. He needs a boss. He needs them taking accountability. So he just doesn't want to be accountable to anything because all those losses are on.
If you look at the YouTubers and you look at a Rogan, the model now is entrepreneurs going out and handling all the overhead and distributing and taking the profits. It's much more entrepreneurial and almost like you're making a commission. You're taking the risk, but the people who are really thriving in this environment are doing it themselves.
But Matt, you're right. But he won't take a risk. He doesn't take any risk. He has no accountability. He has no risk. He needs them to take the risk. He can't. Because when with those guys, you have definitive statistics, streaming and viewing, and he doesn't want those numbers thrown in his face. He doesn't want to know because he knows how unimpressive they'll be, and this is the only place he can subsist, pulling his huckster con man bullshit.
Yeah, I'm sorry, all you guys who are linking me to different websites and everything. I can't open them from the StreamYard format, so I'm terribly sorry about that. I know Oceanside was writing SiriusXM increases quarterly cash dividend by 10%. Yeah, okay, what does that mean? I don't even know. Sorry, I don't play the stock market at all.
Azores has a good post. He writes, with everyone working from home, their streaming numbers have to be more accurate than ever now, since nobody's listening in the car. So the numbers they're going for, 79 now, are the most he's ever going to get. Yeah. I think so.
More cash to the stockholders. Thank you for qualifying that for me. Azores, he might as well have Billy start his own thing if he didn't fire Tim and put a redheaded cunt with zero experience in charge. I was told, and I think we mentioned this on the last podcast or 2 podcasts ago, that apparently Marcy Turk is the only employee that we are aware of in the Sirius compound that actually works for Howard exclusively. She is not under contract with Sirius. She is a Howard Stern employee. So when he goes, she's definitely on her ass somewhere. D-List also mentioned, I'd be really interested if that new chick, Jennifer Wentz or whatever her name is, had some comment. And I feel like the whole reason that Jim Meyer is stepping down is probably because of the whole Howard fiasco. Can you even imagine if Jim is the one offering him $120 million, like basically begging him to fucking stay? Yeah. And if they are buying an iHeartRadio, they come in and say, you got to be fucking kidding me. We don't need him. We have the Breakfast Club. Yep. You have Barstool Sports, you have other things that will generate profits and business and listenership. We don't need him. And I bet you there's some really good internal strife going on there in regards to, where Jim probably was really close to cutting a deal with him. And now maybe not so much.
Monique, that's a great thought, because there is no evidence, if you read this article, that there has been a leadership change at Sirius. It's all Jim Meyer. There's nothing about the new CEO in here.
Right. Well, so go ahead, John.
No, go. You're right in the middle.
Okay, I just wanted to read a little bit of that because that's what we were getting to next. It's still possible talks will fall apart. Chief Executive Officer Jim Meyer, who has long seen Stern as key to Sirius' success, will be leaving at the end of the year. But keeping Stern has been a major priority for the dominant player in satellite radio. The talk show host is the company's biggest star and helped 2005, draw millions of listeners to satellite radio when he left his job in terrestrial radio for Sirius in 2005. Okay. Yes, that is 15, almost 16 years ago. Do you know much has fucking happened in the last 16 fucking years? Are you kidding me that this is still relevant to today?
Bloomberg was mayor 15 years ago.
Exactly.
Rudy Giuliani was semi-sober 15 years ago.
Exactly. And he wasn't paying felons to vote in fucking Florida. Yeah, so it's okay. You're exactly right about that. Sirius declined to comment, while representatives for Stern didn't respond to requests for comment. So
Buchwald won't comment on the own article he planted. Oh, how magnanimous are you, Don?
Exactly. So who are these people in the know if Sirius isn't commenting, nor are representatives of Stern?
The ball said, I should say, I don't know.
I think.
Don't you have that drop somewhere?
I'd have to pull it from my computer, but I was going to drop a whole bunch of Blue Iris on here for you, because I know that you guys were talking about drops.
Yeah.
But I'd have to find it. Would take me forever.
Makes me chuckle. Yeah, that always makes me chuckle.
That rejuvenation.
All right. Analysts have speculated that Stern could leave Sirius for Spotify Technology, which has built a large podcasting operation to complement its online music service.
He wouldn't know how to do a podcast. It's different than radio.
So different.
He wouldn't be able to get his head around it.
No, podcasts, if they're, sometimes when I listen to really, really well-produced podcasts, there's probably about 5, maybe 6 people behind the scenes, unless they are backed by like an NPR or something like that. And then they have to thank like a whole bunch of people. But but essentially there's 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 people behind a podcast.
If
right?
If that.
So he literally being the bloated fucking dinosaur that he is, can't possibly function with 5 or 6 people. It is virtually impossible. How many people do you think Rogan has on staff? I'm curious. Does anybody know?
I know he's not a producer.
I dropped Monique. What was the question? It dropped.
How many people do we think Rogan has on staff?
I'd say 3 or 4. He's got a guy who looks stuff up on YouTube for him. He has another, I think maybe 3 or 4. That's about it.
Yeah, some people are saying tops 3. Yeah, I would agree. Okay, so $90 million man works with 3 people, but because Rogan has the formula for what makes for a compelling podcast, and to some extent, I dare say, like in the Minifan Show and also in the Gunk Show, we have a formula for what works for us, right? So we're like 3 people, sometimes 4 people. I put all this shit up on the screen and we talk through stuff. And Rogan essentially talks to people. He's not producing bits or phony fucking phone calls or priest and man on the street, priest and boy on the street, or just really hacky zookeeper.
He's terrified of that, Monique. He's
exactly
like you said, he's terrified of being stripped down, because then he's going to have to talk about his personal life, and he can only lie for so long when you have 70 people dotting the I's for you. Like you said, if you went through any given show with him and did what is his dialogue, him speaking, what he's doing, it's probably a very, very low number. And in a podcast, you're stripped down. That's you. And he's terrified of that, to have the smoke and mirrors.
And in a podcast, not in this genre of what we do, you're basically talking about ABC networks who are replaying like 2020 with like somebody talking over it. So they're just basically, calling in like a murder mystery or things that have happened on air already. They've already paid somebody to produce this and to talk about it. And all they're doing now is streaming it to you, hoping for another stream of revenue. That's exactly what's happening in this business. So everybody's getting into it because they're sitting at home and they're fucking bored. I mean, I dare tell you, and Matt, you know this, and maybe you know this, but even I was looking for a new microphone for New York, and I couldn't find one anywhere. I mean, there are none to be had. They're all sold because everybody now is at home. And what do they have to do? Podcast and talk, and think that people are interested in what they have to say.
Oh, Michelle Obama's doing a podcast now.
Everybody's doing a fucking podcast. Yeah, and Maury Boy, I love what he said. He painted himself into a corner with his disdain for podcast. He would become the very thing that he despises.
Yeah, that's never stopped him before. He's contradicted himself 10,000 times. One more time isn't going to matter. I like what Gunga did write something here interesting. Well, this is kind of right. You have to be an interesting interview to make a podcast work. You can't talk about your fucking cats and mass for 3 hours. Well, he's so right, like too, because Howard's in a podcast. You have to have like a specific passion or product. Most podcasts are a specific audience. It's a niche kind of thing.
Very narrow.
Very narrow. His show is whatever the hell he wants it to be. How many people in radio can just dilly-dally and have Cocktober and talk about Dancing with the Stars, have absolutely rudderless bullshit itinerary and get away with it.
Interviewing some chick from some tween fucking movie that he
right.
It's like, are you fucking kidding me? So the show has become completely self-indulgent. He doesn't give a rat's ass about us anymore, and you know it. And what they've started to do more than ever is just disable comments when somebody's on. They disabled comments for Chris Rock. They disabled them for George Takei. They disabled them for Jane Fonda. So, it's become, he really is the boy in the plastic bubble now. He doesn't have to.
It's gone downhill too since he's gone home. The quality of the show, and it's just, if they were mailing it in before, it's about a fourth of the effort than they were even doing before when they were at home.
Absolutely. Absolutely correct. All right, let me finish reading a little bit. Sorry, let me just do a little bit. Adam says Spotify has just been a lot of, but even though Stern's team held preliminary conversations with Spotify, they didn't progress very far, according to people familiar with the talks. I don't know where this quote is coming from. Probably somewhere below this. Okay, I can look every investor in the eye and tell them that it is a good investment for Sirius.
Blowhard.
Yeah, fuck you. So glad you're leaving. Shares of Spotify dropped 2% in extended trading on Tuesday.
Everybody dropped 2% today.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to the market tanked because there's no negotiations on helping those unemployed people until fucking Trump wins.
Because somebody got hopped up on steroids and got off the plane.
Exactly. He is on the fucking crazy train today. Let me tell you, it is a joy to behold. I have to tell you, I have not laughed so hard. And, I don't really need my president to fucking amuse me, but this has been quite the amusing day. The 2020 is the epic shit show of our lifetimes, everybody.
I'm really going to, there is part of me that's really going to miss him when he's gone because of the amusement that he's brought me. But then you got to think about, well, he's also running the country. Is that worth my amusement? This last weekend has been some of the best comedy I have seen in years.
Absolutely. I was transfixed by what occurred this weekend. I really was. And
I turned CNN on for the first time in a long time just to watch things to see, is he going to get wheeled out?
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking. It was like the OJ. It was the OJ race on the freeway. I couldn't wait to see how he was coming out. Would he have like an oxygen mask on? What the fuck is going on with him? I mean, I was really transfixed to the entire thing. All right, but we digress. Sorry. Stern's payday speaks to his enduring influence at a time when every new audio company is focused on podcasting. Joe Rogan, who hosts it's supposed to have a one there. You fucking typoed, you millennial dick. Joe Rogan, who hosts one of the most popular podcasts in the U.S.
The most.
Who hosts of the most for Spotify, will make a fraction of the money that Stern will over the course of his deal. Now, why is that? Why? Oh, we're talking about the new $120 million deal? The $30 million extra because your shows have been so scary good since you're holed up like Howard Hughes playing with fucking cats with your wife who's going insane that she actually has to look at you and actually fuck you because Juan the pool boy isn't around for her anymore? Are you kidding me? These are the worst shows.
Fucks him?
No, I don't know. She makes a lot of money for fucking him. So I would say, and he probably doesn't really ask for much, a little tug and pull, it's really akin to probably going to.
I pulled something from the Gilbert audio that I had that he had Ralph on, and he said he likes to give it to her from behind, and he saw that on Battlestar Galactica, and that's how they were doing it, and that's what he really enjoys giving it from behind. He said.
Yeah, because he doesn't have to look at the cold sores on her fucking face.
I've seen men more attractive to me than her. Those eyes, man, they're separated. They're at a slant.
It's the wonk. We call it the wonk.
Person.
Yep. Listen, I've seen her in person. She's tall and blonde. That's what she is. She's tall and blonde. I mean, if you listen to Monsoon on our site, she'll say, she's fat 5'8", with wonky tits and wonky eyes to match.
You know what those eyes do though, Matt? When she's if and I don't believe she is, if she's having sex with Howard, she's actually looking at George Stephanopoulos.
She's looking out the window at Jose.
Looking at a Halliburton full of cash.
Exactly.
It's going through her head.
That's exactly right. Okay. Without giving specifics on any agreement, Sirius's Meyer said last month that Stern was still quite valuable to the company. Stern last renewed deals with the satellite broadcaster in 2010 and 2015. I will throw out to you that I did write to a couple of my friends / insiders on this, and I was telling Matt this when I was PMing him to do the show tonight, where one of them said, "Fuck, if this is right, then Buckworld is a fucking genius. If he could get him this much money." He's like, "I can't believe that it's true, but if it is, Buckworld's a fucking genius." So
the Rogan thing, again, he would never accept being a number 2 on a platform. So it's just he was never going there. You just knew it. There was no way he was going to accept being this. It's not my idea first. I didn't come here first. I'm not going to be number 2. I'm not going to get paid less. There was no way he was going to Spotify. He just out of ego, he could never be number 2 to him. Thinking that he taught him everything he knows. And Rogan, that's actually a show we should do is the Rogan versus Howard show and talk about their falling out. I got a bunch of stuff on that.
No, I'd love to do that.
You can play his favorite bit from Rogan that he likes to play over and over again.
I'll give you just a tease. A lot of people don't know this. Howard accused Rogan of stealing from him on Fear Factor. So on 3 different occasions, he started his show off with accusing Rogan of taking Howard bits and using him on Fear. Rogan's supposed to be the comedy police. He's Mr., calling out everybody who steals material like Dennis Leary. And so the worst possible thing you could call Rogan is a thief. And when you ask Rogan why he hasn't done Howard, he makes up this stuff. I'm just better off not listening to it. But I'm telling you, Rogan got wind that Howard accused him of stealing from him. And that just completely alienated him from the show. That has to be why. But nobody knows this because it was like a blurb in history. And there's a lot of, Joe hates women. That was another thing. Like he went to Scores with him and those old Vegas shows, and Joe was belligerent towards women. That was another, but I believe it's the plagiarism thing.
Well, you remember the time that back in 1995, Howard put a spider on Gary's face. Oh, maybe that's what they're talking about. He stole.
Yeah.
What could he have possibly stole from Fear Factor?
Everybody steals from him, Matt. You know the narrative. Although somehow he didn't steal Fart Man from National Lampoon, and he didn't steal Steve Dahl's act when he was living in Detroit, getting those Chicago stations, and he didn't steal Ben Stein's money from Ben Stein and Jimmy Kimmel. It's
it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Let me finish with the article. I can tell you that we understand the economics very, very well, for instance, of content like Howard Stern, he said at a Goldman Sachs conference. I can look every investor in the eye and tell them that it's a good investment for Sirius XM. Satellite radio doesn't generate the same number of headlines as podcasting, which has attracted everyone from former First Lady Michelle Obama to late night host Conan O'Brien. Love his show, by the way. Yet it generates a lot more cash for Sirius and its largest shareholder, Liberty Media Corp. More than 34 million people pay for a subscription to Sirius, which offers more than 150 channels of sports, TikTok, and comedy. That's like an ad right there. The company generated $7.8 billion in sales last year and nearly $1 billion in profit.
And they have total equity of a negative $754 million.
Listen,
so how does that work? How does that explain that to us? Explain having that negative versus the profit thing. How does this work?
Well, as I understand it, yeah, they might be making a profit, but the total assets that they have are less valuable than the money they have coming in. Keep in mind, it's like billions of dollars to put those satellites up in orbit. And there's 3 satellites and they decay every year. So the assets that they have are worth less than making the money. They've got to be floating on bonds all the time.
So it's like a crumbling building on Fifth Avenue. So
I can't imagine so. Again, I'm looking at Wikipedia, but everything else that's in this article is in line with what Wikipedia is saying. So either Wikipedia is right, or which is more likely, the author went to Wikipedia and is writing the article off of that.
It's almost like a pro sports owner that has a team and he doesn't care if it makes a profit. It's just something he likes. And nothing Howard is even remotely connected to a profit in regards to Howard. And it's just like they somehow has signed a deal with the devil where it's a right to refusal, and they have to offer him some contract in order. But like you said, we've crunched the numbers. Nothing about this makes sense in terms of making a profit with him. Cutting him off, replacing that. What does he have? A third of the building dedicated to those twats, and they could replace it with God knows what, and pay these people 1/4 of what Howard makes. Really big names and hosts. How much? I don't understand how they don't think in those terms.
Yeah, I was just told an amazing statistic because of how shitty everything is in New York right now. Currently, even though there is I mean, commercial real estate is such a huge part of New York's economy, but there's only about like I think it's like a 22% occupancy currently of all commercial real estate in New York. Not that that's how much is being rented, but that's how many people are coming into work currently. 22% of all people who have commercial real estate in New York. So basically, almost all of Sirius XM is lying fallow right now. Everybody is working from home, but so many people are doing it so much bigger and better than Howard is. Like, where are the Barstool Sports people podcasting from or talking
They've
from?
always had a studio in their office. So they're back in their office, but they have a satellite studio that just links up with Sirius. So they're never in the Sirius studio. They have their own.
Right. So they're not costing Sirius like rent and
No.
things like that. Yeah, that's an amazing thing that I can't believe, sorry for Dave that he probably made a really shitty deal with them. I bet you it gave him like a lot more exposure, but he probably didn't make a good deal for himself just in terms of his
They outgrew the deal. It was probably a great thing because Barstool is on radio now in 2016. But what Barstool has done between 2016 and now is just absolutely incredible. He outgrew the deal.
Yeah.
That's what the problem is.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not a problem because I'm sure he'll be able to, negotiate a phenomenal deal for wherever he winds up.
He's got leverage.
But I don't really believe in him, ceding to Howard. Like, I don't believe that that's the right move on his part. I think that he's probably worth more than he actually realizes, It's shame on him, honestly. All right, let me finish. The new deal with Stern will probably be a comfort to investors who have been jarred by the change in leadership and growing competition from online rivals Apple Music and Spotify. Those companies have been increasing their audiences at a much faster pace and have also made inroads getting installed in cars, long one of Sirius's strengths. Its shares have fallen 22% this year through Monday's close. So let's talk about that for a really, really quick second. Why would one need Apple Music and or Spotify?
I don't know why anybody needs a music service. You can download music off YouTube with a YouTube downloader that converts it to MP3. I don't know why anybody needs any of these services.
Well, conversely,
convenience.
No. But why can't it be like let's say my TV, where if I decide I'm signing up for HBO Max, all I have to do is go into the TV store and download the HBO Max app and add it to my repertoire on the screen, right? So why is that not something? And I'm sure that can be put into cars at this point. So yeah, so if I'm a Spotify listener, I can download the app and just have Spotify. End of story. I mean,
yeah,
that is definitely the way it's going to work for going forward. And I also have like Apple Play in my car. So yeah, Apple Music kind of comes with it, even though I don't really listen to it. But yeah, it's a different animal. So think about Spotify, where they are music and podcasts. So most podcasters are podcasting from their homes or from their own studios. Most music takes one or two people to put it together and and they don't even have to curate it because Spotify is kind of, it's intuitive to what it is you're listening to and then it gives you music similar to it. So think about Sirius with their bloated salaries, satellites up in the air, 5 floors of bullshit, right on 6th Avenue. And look at Spotify, where I guarantee you the amount of people that are there to generate the amount of business that they do must be like minuscule compared to what's going on at a bloated satellite XM.
If you look at something like Spotify, they're looking to get into podcasting because music rights is expensive. Now, they don't have all of that real estate and all of those personalities that they're paying, and they don't have billion-dollar satellites. And they're a little bit scared about music licensing. They want to get into podcasting because podcasting is pretty much free. You, in the grand scheme of things, if you're paying some of these podcasters, which Rogan gets headlines, he's getting a lot of money, but everything else is a pittance compared to music licensing. It's almost free. It's full profit when you're monetizing that a little bit. Now you look at Sirius, which now you have the overhead of the personalities. It's terrible.
It's true, but even on Sirius, you have the overhead of the band, so they have individual bands have their own channel, the Pearl Jam channel, the Beatles channel, Tom Petty's channel, and Howard is again jealous of them because they're not actually there doing anything; they're just kind of playing their shit. That is his dream to get that same money and just play his own. Like I said, I would love to if CBS, that what if thing, if CBS retained his fucking his material and he never got to use it because he would have to have live programming in order to do those. I would love for him to not have access to his old shit.
Me too. I would love that too. But unfortunately, I would love to know more about that. And I should really talk to Tim about that. I would love to know what exactly the deal is there with what he owns. I know we talked about it on the last podcast about CBS versus him not having to pay anything for it, yet sold it. I mean, just the whole thing to me sounds like just such a incredibly manipulative way to make more fucking marbles out of what he was already getting. I do want to read here what WVMT near 91 says Barstool and other similar bro sports gambling sites and shows are successful by racing to the gambling companies to align with them. Barstool was sold to Penn National. Pat McAfee has a popular show. He was with Barstool and now with FanDuel.
Isn't he on the Mad Dog channel? WVM? Yeah.
Oh, is that what that is?
One for a while.
I don't even know who he is. I thought I knew my sports radio. I don't even know who he is.
He was a place kicker with the Indianapolis Colts. He retired early. Got a job at Barstool. He kind of blew up with Barstool. They kind of screwed him money-wise, so he went to Westwood One to do a show, and now he's left to get more money at Mad Dog Radio. He's a big deal. He's one of these new stars in what you would say sports radio, but not sports radio.
Is Russo still doing 3 to 6 Eastern time, and then Monique's cousin does like an hour show after that?
Yes. But you know what? So where does that leave somebody like me? I don't really listen to sports shows. Like I know Xavier loves like Jim Rome and listens to all that kind of shit.
Oh, God.
And you guys, I know, but you guys listen to like your, John. I know you always listen to NBA, and I know, and there's different sports related things.
That's the marketing. I see, not marketing, but their best attribute is sports. I mean, if you're not a sports fan, you don't give a shit. But if you are, they have individual channels for the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, golf, hockey, for Christ's sake, Mad Dog Radio, Barstool Sports. There's a fantasy sports channel, for Christ's sake. I mean, that is good stuff. So if you're into sports, Sirius is absolutely worth it. So he's taking credit for, and then there's like individual broadcast channels. So if you want to hear the goddamn Arizona Diamondbacks game, you can listen to it on Sirius. But Howard takes credit for these subscriptions, as we know.
So Azor75 says Sirius charges you a royalty fee when you subscribe. Another way to squeeze more money out of you. I bet you they all do in some way, shape, or form. If you pay for it, there's free Spotify and free Pandora, and then there's paid Pandora, which is, I guess, commercial free. But what I realized about something like Pandora is like when you decide like you want I don't know, let's say the Led Zeppelin channel. A lot of times they'll play like the live versions of something because it costs less royalty wise to pay for the live version of a song versus the original. And that's how they fucking get you. This is what they do.
Yeah, the licensing is outrageous.
Well, I think thumbs up to Pearl Jam, I think it is, and the Grateful Dead, where they just was Springsteen too, where they just have their fans playing bootlegs on the channel, and they're not asking for royalties from it, and it's just a different mentality. Which
see, that's true. Sports is the only reason I listen to Sirius XM. Don't listen to the music. I use free Pandora or Radio Tunes for music. Yeah, I mean, we don't need Sirius for these things. Okay.
No.
Let me go on with the article. Sirius has invested in online radio and podcasts in recent years, hoping to keep listeners from defecting to Spotify and Apple Music. The New York-based company acquired Pandora, the online music service, as well as Stitcher, a podcasting service. Yet satellite radio remains Sirius's cash cow, with Stern at the center of it all. So yeah, there you go. That's my article, and I'm sticking with it.
If you go in and you start searching under Howard Stern News, or you start reaching out and looking at Sirius News. This is the only article around Howard Stern resigning.
Right. That's a great point, Matt, because you'd think it would be blowing up. You know how they do the dovetail thing, Monique, when we did the Chet Hayes thing with Adam Levy, how, like Entertainment Tonight, and then this, all the different entertainment websites started to pick up on it. Matt's absolutely right. Why is nobody else dovetailing from this?
Well, as funny, you should mention that. So I just looked up what's going on if you put in Howard Stern for news. Howard Stern deal. Okay, that's right. That's all there is. Howard Stern finds irony in Trump praise of COVID science. Howard Stern's wife shares a sweet photo of her husband cuddling a cat. Howard Stern found presidential debate dirty and filthy. Here's what we like for Howard Stern to interview Hillary Clinton. Make Trump's tax forms his ticket to Biden debate. So yeah, they drag him into Trump things because they know that's what will sell papers. But the reality is it's not something that anybody is interested in on the show. And I dare say it's actually taking listeners away from his show. He doesn't want to hear it. But the reality is it's not something that people care about anymore. So as I'm pulling that up, I'm reading this article at SiriusXM. Howard Stern contract talks drag on. CEO Jim Myers optimistic. This was from 4 weeks ago, September 9th. Optimistic about striking a new deal with the company's star property, who contract expires at the year-end renewal has been focused on Wall Street and the press for months as the deadline approaches. I'm deeply engaged in conversations with Howard's team. I am very optimistic about those conversations. We continue to make progress, he said during a Q&A at the BofA Securities 2020 Media Communications Entertainment Conference. No, I would kill to get a copy of that. We've had Howard for 15 years, and I'm sure that every penny we paid Howard, our shareholders have benefited. And I have been really clear. I want Howard Stern to work at SiriusXM for as long as Howard Stern wants to work, said Meyer. I can't speak for him, but I can speak for me. Howard loves working at SiriusXM. We love having Howard at SiriusXM. I think the quality of the show is the best it's ever been.
Is he deaf?
The lineup of guests he's getting is the best it's ever been. I don't see why that would slow down. What delusional fucking... He doesn't listen to the show. There's just no way.
It's crazy. I never trust the authors of these. Like Lucas Shaw. What does he think? He's Jackson Delabate's frat buddy from Syracuse?
Exactly.
Right. Like who is like? It looks exactly like the age. By the way, I found something out just by accident the other day. Marianne Garvey, his shill who works with it. She's now a columnist for CNN online.
Oh, you're kidding.
I swear to God.
Freelance though, that they're just putting in an article and they get paid per article or paid per deal.
He has friends at MSNBC. He has a lot of weird people he's deployed out into the media. TMZ has external employees there. So that's why, Matt, TMZ never hits Howard. They never reported him in any way. Harvey Levin has agreed to, and I think he might even be a Buckwall client, to not report on Howard.
I think Harvey Levin is a Buckwall client. I don't know what I was doing one night, but I decided to go down a rabbit hole of trying to figure out who the Buckwall clients are, and I think his name came up. This was just before I found Fred Norris's demo tape for Coors Light.
Wait, what demo tape for Coors Light?
Oh, you didn't know that exists? Yeah, if you go on the Buckwald site and you go to the voiceover page, and under the voiceover page you go to celebrity endorsers, Fred Norris is in there doing a read for Coors Light. He's dreadful.
He's the worst. He can't get a voiceover gig. He's been in radio for 90 years. He can't get one fucking voiceover gig with Buckwald as his goddamn agent.
He can go into Fiverr and get a voiceover thing. He's Fred Norris.
Tearing down the walls of a heartache, tearing down the walls of my pride.
All right, you got to tell me. I'm all over this. I'm all over this. Where am I looking?
All right.
I'm in Buckwald.
I might be able to play it here.
Do you have the client list, Monique? Jennifer Love Hewitt? Do you have the client list?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I went down that rabbit hole once too, trying to figure out.
So hard. I don't think they watch it now.
One night doing this, I'm like, I've got to be out of my mind doing this.
We always go down that damn rabbit hole.
It's better than watching Comics Unleashed with Byron Allen, Matt. Which is
Oh my God! So you were talking about that as a side note.
Wow, how did that come up? We were just talking about.
We were, because I sent Monique how much Byron Allen is actually worth.
Don't even tell anybody.
Nobody believed me, right, Matt? Everybody was looking like I was crazy, and I knew nobody believed me.
Byron Allen, what a scammer this guy is. So unlike what normal people do, where they look and say, I want to be the best at whatever I'm doing, he looked at it and said, you know what? There are times like, say, ABC on a Sunday afternoon doesn't have football, but everybody else is. They've got to put something there. So I'm going to go put a whole bunch of junkets on and sell it to them and just have everybody who has nothing to put on, put something on. And he made enough money from that to end up being able to buy the Weather Channel. And then if you don't take his programming, he sues you for $50 billion and says, you're racist. And so they end up settling with him. He's worth $400 million.
Monique, you know how when the NFL's on this, they black out a game on the other channel and you're going, why are they showing this infomercial? What do they have to gain by this? Just put another. That's what Byron Allen puts on, like, and the shit you see at 2 a.m. and somehow, Matt's right. He fills
so not offensive.
Yep. Completely innocuous, right? Not offensive.
I'm speechless. About, and I'm like, Byron Allen. I'm like, what the fuck do I care about Byron Allen? And why is he worth $400 million?
He's in the house.
So I sent you the link via Twitter for the Buckwald voiceover. You've got to go to the celebrity endorsers.
Yeah.
And he is at the very bottom. At the bottom, it's George Takei, Skip Sudduth, and Fred Norris.
Wow.
Just below Ralph Macchio and Mary Stuart Masterson.
That is
Mary Stuart Masterson reference. Good Lord.
Hey, John loves shit like that. You have to know.
Do.
John,
that's some kind of wonderful reference, Matt.
Yeah, Live Danner. Buckwald client.
All right, hold on.
Gwyneth Paltrow's mom.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they got Gwyneth. Now we know.
Okay,
Holy
so
shit.
I'm here now. So am I supposed to select a category?
Go to celebrity.
Okay.
You want the celebrity endorsers.
Got it.
So big names. People like Len Carew.
Tony, Ralph Macchio, Fred. All right, here we go. Hang on. I got it. Let me link
share
it there. Of course, silly Billy.
Wow.
Hang on. Let's get to Fred. Fred's missing. Oh my God, I love this. All right, hang on. Buckwald, share. Okay, hang on, sirs.
Buckwald wants his 5% from Cobra Kai.
His pound of flesh.
Okay. I can't. This is a show in itself. Just going through the Buckwald clients.
Oh yeah,
Matt, you know that both Robin Givens and Angie Everhart were Buckwald clients. Howard's Beards in the early 2000s.
I heard listening to the show.
Yeah, that was weird.
Hang on. Oh wait, let me make sure I didn't. Shit, I'm so sorry. I didn't share audio. So let me go back. Share audio. Buckwald. Share. All right, here we go. Fred Norris.
Fred Norris.
Guys over at Coors Light asked me to talk about icy cold refreshment. And I said, hey, you know what would be refreshing? Referees who watch the same game I'm watching. That would be refreshing. How about an independent woman who's independent enough to pick up a check once in a while, huh? Oh, but no, because we live in a world where the only kind of refreshment a guy can count on is ice cold Rocky Mountain refreshment. I'm talking Coors Light. It's frost brewed for a taste you can't beat. A real American original. Absolutely refreshing. Kind of like me. Coors Light. Tap the Rockies.
Monster Truck Madness for Nintendo 64. The biggest, baddest monster truck game in the world. 19 trucks.
Wait, is that him doing monster trucks?
Yeah, I guess so. I never got that far. I tuned out like 3 seconds in because all I could hear was Jackie the Joke Man Martlin will be at Governor's this weekend, and you can pick hot dogs and donuts on Oleo Records.
Scott the engineer.
Oh wait, okay,
Yeah,
let me finish this. Let me finish this. Monster Trucks. This is great.
The two strong including Big Boy and the WCW NWO Rental Trucks. Multiplayer Mania allows 1 to 4 players to compete in 7 modes of play, including battle games. Monster Truck Madness. Reach out and crush someone.
Wow.
Monster Truck read, and he's mentioning the NWO WCW truck. That company went out of business in 2001.
Maybe this is that old though.
It's definitely that old.
Maybe it's been up here.
That's
Wow. Okay. So first off, let us discuss that Howard would fucking kill himself to actually have Coors Light as a sponsor for his show, let alone the fact that like Fred Norris is doing a read for them, which I'm sure never went anywhere. Right.
and a condescending read too. He's reading the he's reading the ad like Coors Light is beneath him and King Norris.
Yeah.
It's not right.
So who is Skip Sudduth?
Oh,
I have no idea. He probably sounds better than Fred, though.
Let's see.
Skip Sudduth.
The thrill of a new 240 horsepower engine. The serenity of a perfectly considered interior. The beauty of a machine in balance.
Yeah, no. None of these people are of any note whatsoever. This is
What about the guy at the very bottom?
George Takei. Oh, let's take a look.
George Takei.
Takei.
A skydiver records his own disaster at 4,000 feet.
Balloon knot.
A whitewater raft throws his friend caught in the grips of a killer rabbit. And an airline passenger keeps his camera rolling during a terrifying emergency landing. These are the extraordinary videos captured by ordinary people when lives hang in the balance. Change. Embrace it, and you begin to see things differently.
That music says, I want to be punctured anally by you immediately.
Walls become
Lengthy
doors.
black teenager.
Paths become clear. It changes the way you think, the way you create, and the way you bring ideas to the world. We are a music company. We can offer unlimited music access, but we can also produce films, create television.
Wall Street, financial capital of the universe.
1970?
Here, fortunes are made and lost every day in the cutthroat, anything-goes world of high finance. But it's nothing compared to how it used to be. In the
How
This is the worst demo ever.
ever.
always wanted to do a voiceover for the Bramble. You gotta play Macho. You gotta
Oh God, must be okay.
play Macho.
He has no kind of voice to speak of. Like I can't even imagine.
I don't know what.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here we go.
Let's see if we
Ralph
recognize it.
Macchio. The redefined 2002 Volvo S80. Can a ride be the most relaxing part of your day? Decide for yourself at your Volvo retailer.
Yeah. No. Sorry, Ralph. Sorry.
Even his voiceover looks 30 years younger than he does. He could play an 18-year-old with that voiceover.
His balls still haven't dropped. Oh my God, this was so fun. Thank you for like sharing that. That is
Yeah, John Amos is in here somewhere. He's not in the celebrity category.
Oh, Cleo McDowell.
You know what? I love this because now if you look through
was
like the
right.
celebrities, we can see who are Buckwell clients, right?
Yep. That's how we got Gwenny. Blythe Danner. Gwyneth's mom.
Oh, right.
Connect the dots. It's all roads lead to follow the Buckwald. Not
God,
follow
you're
the Bucks.
so
Follow the
right.
Buckwald with Howard.
That is amazing. Thank you. I mean, that was worth the price of admission to this fucking show. Just to have that. Oh, I love everything about it. Okay.
Oh, yeah, this is hours of fun going through Buckwald's site.
Oh, that is fun. All right. So, is there anything else we want to? I hear myself for some reason reverbing in somebody's headphones. I'm sorry. I hear myself. I have to take my headphone off. Okay.
Yeah, D-List writes, so Beth is not a Buckwald client. 2 dozen failures was enough, I guess. I think that's their featured names. They have these names that they're not.
But that's for
particularly proud of.
voiceovers. Don't forget. That's only for voiceovers.
Okay, so that's just voice. Okay, you don't want to hear Beth's pipes in a voiceover?
Oh my God! Hi. So, honey, Oh, honey, I'm so tired, but this cold, refreshing brew is just the perfect thing for me to have. I'm gonna cry. I just feel so bad for all the cats that were killed in the making of this beer. She doesn't snorkel. Sorry, that was wrong.
Monique, I haven't seen a better
profession that you need an agent less than voiceover work.
First Light is so cute.
that was Uncle Vanya-esque, Meek. Well done.
Oh my God, so cute. They tried Beth for voiceovers, but they weren't for more than 3 letters. Oh my God. All right. So is there anything else we want to add to this? We just, you know what? We just wanted to do an emergency podcast because it was really interesting. Somebody mentioned early on that Sirius is scheduled to have another satellite go off probably in the next month or so. So I think that's going to be happening in the next month. So we'll know. I mean, we'll know what's going on.
What a waste of money.
What?
What a waste of money. Why couldn't they just do this all over Wi-Fi now?
I know.
What's the point?
They need to be different. They're stuck in the Stone Age. They're stuck in 2006 in a 2020 world. They can't stop with their bullshit.
I mean, AT&T is looking to unload DirecTV. They're calling that the worst business deal that's ever been created.
As they should. You know, I'm a subscriber of YouTube TV, and anything else, not gonna lie, I'll go through Ripple if there's something I really want to watch. But that's really all you need, just as long as you have really good internet, the world is your fucking oyster. Nobody needs these albatrosses anymore. And I'm shocked and amazed that a Sirius can perpetuate the disingenuous discussion about how they are on the cutting edge of what's happening for going forward. Because if you were, you would have been in some podcasts 5 years ago. Well, not gonna lie.
DirecTV, where they were smart, I guess, is they sign these deals with the NFL where they have exclusive rights to the NFL ticket, and I think hotels have shit going on with hotel chains. Have shit going on with DirecTV where so you have to use them. That's why they won't be completely antiquated, but you're absolutely right. But they were smart because they knew somebody was going to beat them in the future, and they signed these exclusive deals with the NFL, and it's a lot of money too to get that. If you go right through them, so it's crazy.
The 2 new satellites were ordered July 2016. Fudge Sickle is hi, this is Blythe Danner, and yesterday I said some things on the show that some found
typical Blythe.
So yeah, I think we're all in agreement that Sirius is absolutely one of the worst run stations, worst run entities that is out there. Yet somehow they continue to make money for their shareholders. So, maybe we're mistaken. I don't know, but I don't.
Yeah, they'll have people being perped to walk out one day like it's Enron.
I love Matt's point, Monique, about no other media source picking up on this but Bloomberg. Something really, really smells of foul. That it's just that's the plant. That Buchwald has some hookup in Bloomberg, and it's a clear plant. It just doesn't make sense. Nobody else. It's a huge, huge figure. How could others not jump on this bandwagon if that's the right number? They'd have. This is bigger than his fucking Sirius deal in 05 and 04 and going. I think Matt's got a great point. How come nobody else is on this? That should tell you that it's a plant.
Well, I think part of it as well is that Howard is pretty irrelevant. The fact that even if it is true, people don't care that much. But the fact that if you go into Market Watch and look at the news on stocks, it's not there. Yeah, that should be something that would show up.
That's right. And his biggest fear is to not be. He needs to cling to some relevance, and this is all they got right now. And they we've seen them plant shit that just went away. With all the moves and the fake leave and Shuley going to Alabama and the shit we found with Benji that they edited from the show, and the thing with Sal where who was it? Judy Tenuno told us in that PM today that there was some Sal joke about leaving, and they had a song ready for him. like 20 seconds later. Like it was
Yeah, that
spontaneous,
was
like they
kind of
just created-
weird. Right. So they're building up to this, and he keeps taking more and more phone calls about what's going on, what's happening with the negotiations. And you know what? The reality is we'll probably hear about the fucking negotiations from Marianne from Brooklyn, his shill. She'll be the one to tell us that he's leaving or that
I saw an article in Bloomberg.
Exactly.
Matt, did you ever hear Monique's chat with Marianne online at Gay GT?
Oh no.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Hard hitting.
You know what? I would really love to find that. That's one of the things in the things we lost in the fire. But
it was good.
I'm pretty sure I have that somewhere in my archives. Yeah, I would like to put that back up. That fucking cunt. All right. Howard! All right. So I think that's it for us for tonight. We are going to wrap up. We did an hour and a half on a stupid 4-paragraph article. So that was really interesting. I'm really interested in what happens though now with Barstool Sports and things like that, and how this is going to affect us. But the interesting thing is we only have 2.5 months left of Howard, and there's always Cocktober, which is in full thriving display.
What's going on in Cocktober? Is it literally?
Yes.
What I think it is?
It's him coming out of the show is for Howard, Matt. And this is Howard's favorite thing, is to fawn over his staff's junk. And this is, we have no say. This is left to his own devices. This is what that show for an entire month. It's him pretending to be heterosexual. And it's the rest of the staff that's gay, not Howard.
Right. And so they do things like little monkeys with accordions to please their guy. And so that's how they kind of work. And so everything that they're doing now, like he did shave the shaft yesterday, which was incredibly
Who's clamoring for that?
There was absolutely nobody clamoring for anything that's on that show.
Well, they got a deluge of hate mail last time, Matt. This is like when they did it 2 years ago, just completely pummeled with, to the point where Howard even kind of addressed it on the air. He was like, I don't care what you do. We're going to do it anyway. And he has to be trolling the audience at this point, just knowing how reviled it is. And he doesn't care because this show is for him. There's no quality control. He doesn't have ratings. He doesn't have to report to. And so this is what you get.
Yeah. So this is basically what's going on. So, shave the shaft. Happy Cocktober with the eggplant. Cocktober is coming. An incredibly exciting Richard Lewis interview from 2010 because somebody's looking for that somewhere. JD. Weekend Update, Tina Fey, Jimmy Fallon conversation from SNL.
If you guys get a chance, and people in the chat, go look at the Stern Channel's videos, how few views they get.
Well, look at this.
And you come back to me.
Comments 10,
34,000 views. That's it. That's it. He's selling it on that. Howard.
No. But that doesn't even count as a view, sweetheart. So if I'm scrolling through my feed,
I'm looking at the views.
If I just stop for a second, that counts as a view. So it's not as if anybody even has to be listening to it in order for it to be a view. Oh, there I am. Timely and topical. These evergreen shows are the best. Yeah.
What's up? October.
I am one of only like maybe 4 people that commented on this thing. I mean, so that's what he's been doing. That's all he does. And yeah, look, 2 comments.
41,000 views.
Again, I scroll past, that's a view. I'm scrolling past this, that's a view. So it doesn't matter if you listen to it.
The real key is the lack of engagement.
Yeah.
Right. And the collective lack of engagement, whether it's comments or retweets or just, and this is what and these are the analytics that they should be throwing in his face, but don't. There's something really strange about this whole thing that he could even fathom demanding anywhere near that money based on this bullshit.
Interesting. Look at what somebody wrote on October 4th. FYI, show is pre-taped all this week. If you listened closely last week, Howard said Richard and Sal will be hosting all this week coming up. I'm not necessarily sure about that because he did talk about Trump being in the hospital and the COVID and everything like that. So I'm not necessarily sure.
We might as well. The show has no need to be live. There's nothing about the live aspect of radio that this show lends itself to anymore. Except that one phone call that snuck through, I guess it was Monday, where he called her a cunt and it was captured.
Oh, right. I don't even know what that was about. I was barely listening.
It was a kind of a Corona argument with Trump and how she said something about Howard's millionaire friends, and he wouldn't bring up his daughter. He called his daughter his nurse friend. I think I was talking about Ashley, and he was talking about Wayne Siegel, and he wouldn't mention Wayne Siegel's name. He said, "I know a car salesman." It was almost like he made it up, just like doing some like perverse, like, dinner party of the. So I don't understand why, but it was. They
don't even have 1 million followers. Look at that, 769.
Portnoy's got it over 1 million.
Portnoy himself has 500,000 more than Howard does.
Yeah. Oh, this is the worst run social media I've ever seen.
That's horrible.
It's
Everything about it is horrible. Portnoy, 1.8 million,
which is really good, but it's not unbelievable. But it's
almost triple Howard's. I mean, really, when you think about it,
I think Howard's at 1.4.
But look at their engagement. You know, look at how people are constantly talking.
Yeah, you'll see like thousands and stuff on some of the stuff that he's putting in there.
Yeah, look at those. That's crazy.
And this is him singularly. It's not even Barstool Sports.
1.5 thousand retweets or likes or whatever.
Yeah. So it's just a different.
Yeah, we get to the Sirius one there. You got 828 comments, 581 retweets, 15,000 likes.
Oh, this is the 99% out of Sirius. We aren't in the same stratosphere in terms of negotiations. We'll just move to a new platform, onto a new platform as always. Our crowd will follow as always. Bye, fucking Felicia. Yeah. See, this is why I can't work for peanuts. I'm not Stern, but I'm not.
You are though. You are. Stop saying that. That's he gets away with that shit. That's how Howard gets. That's how it fucking feeds his head into thinking you are. They're way bigger. Stop saying I'm not Stern.
He's a singular talent now.
It's even just the whole infrastructure, the whole entity.
Yeah. Okay. Well, on that note, sorry, Dave, that you feel that way. And, I'm sure most of the guys on here will support you guys wherever you go. So it'll be just really interesting to see what happens with Sirius and what happens at the end. And we'll come revisit this again in December when we know what the story is. And we'll have a discussion about it and see how far off this article actually was. And, then that's it. That's all I got. Anybody want final comments?
No, I'm good. I just want next show. You want to plug that, tease it, or
no? Okay. So Bon Jovial is planning a Monique birthday party show on Thursday for my birthday. So I don't know what it entails. And I know nothing about it other than he said, I want you and John to be there for it. And we're doing a birthday show. So
it's going to be at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
At the Hammerstein Ballroom. Lots of surprise guests will be coming in. Exactly.
That's for the Super Bowl, though. We wouldn't be able to get him in the first place.
Yeah, I believe we're doing the Ralph roast as well. I don't know. He's got it all set up. So birthday roll call. Exactly. Okay. So we're going to be doing that. So stay tuned for that on Thursday at 8:00. Thank you, Matt, so much for coming on the show. I've been meaning to have you on so many times, and we're definitely going to work on the Gilbert Show. I think it's a phenomenal premise, and I think it'll be a fun show.
Smelly James,
for everybody
for his birthday.
The fact that I've got audio of the woman calling in saying Gilbert took a ride with me and was making Holocaust jokes when there's no audience there is what I love about Gilbert. The fact that he is offensive and hateful with no benefit. Everything you need to know about why Gilbert is great.
I love Gilbert, and he is sorely missed on that Stern show. He really, really is. All right, guys, thank you so much.
One last thing. Everybody in the chat, if anybody listening, if you can call the Radio Gunk hotline and leave Monique a happy birthday message on there, we'll probably play them.
Oh my God. Okay. That is an excellent thought. I have to clear it out first, which I will do. And I'll do that right when I get off of this. Well, probably tomorrow because I'm inherently lazy, as you know. But yeah, I will clear out the voicemail. And yeah, don't leave me a birthday. Don't do that. Actually, don't Don't do that.
It could be a funny goofing around. It doesn't have to be as serious. You could, do whatever you want.
Okay. All right. Does it inspire? I want you to sing a Van Halen song
Monique.
in honor of.
Monique's gonna change outfits 3 times for her birthday show. Midlife crisis.
They want you to sing a Van Halen song. Sing us out in honor of the dead one.
And the cradle will rock. Cradle will rock. I said, rock on. Ooh, rock on.
I don't even know what song that is.
The cradle rock.
He said the name of
Have
it.
you seen
I
Junior's
don't know.
grades?
I don't know enough. All right, guys.
Cradle will rock.